I've spent the last year putting the pieces of my life back together after I lost everything in my 6-figure marketing business. Yeah, I loved that agency. And now I'm taking my decade plus of traditional marketing experience, combining it with the latest online marketing techniques and starting again from scratch. The question is, how will I do it? With the new challenges like cash flow, debt, and no team. This podcast is here to give you the answer, so join me and follow along as I apply and share marketing strategies to grow my online business using only the simplest, most uncomplicated methods. My name is Samantha Gooden, and welcome to Marketing Launch Radio. Hello and welcome to Marketing Launch Radio. I am Samantha Gooden, and today I am joined. Now, this is how to do this introduction, right? So when she's not on radio, Marketing Launch Radio with me here, you'll probably see us chilling out a lot because she's one of my best friends on earth, right? But we didn't start this way. In fact, our relationship was actually a very weird starting one. I will allow you to share more about that. Please help me to welcome Rachel Thomas to Marketing Launch Radio. Rachel, so good to have you here.
Hi, it's great to be here. This feels quite odd, but yeah.
Well, you know what? I really wanted to have you here because I think there's no better story that can be told about the transition that we go through as women from strangers or estranged, because we did not know each other. We were not, nothing at all, to the relationships that happen, as you start growing on the same journey, and what the entrepreneurial journey has been like for you, because you didn't start out in entrepreneurship at all.
Absolutely no. I was so far from entrepreneurship. I think when I met you, I was a bit like overwhelmed by the whole thing, and entrepreneurship was not even on my repertoire. It wasn't even a consideration. All I was doing was trying to grow and learn. And that's how we met. We met by chance. We actually had the same coach who said, hey, y'all are going to the same place. We were actually going to John Maxwell to certify together.
Right.
And you were like,
at the time we weren't together, right? We weren't together. We were just doing our stuff independently.
You were told, go look for a tall white girl at the back of a church. And I knew you because you're on the stage and I loved your worship. I just totally admired you. So then when you bounced on over, I was like, what is this girl's problem here? What is going on? And then, that was it. That was the start of what I didn't know, great things and a great friendship that I totally just am blessed with. And I remember the first thing when we decided to get going, we didn't even know personalities or anything. And I remember you saying to me, okay, I've got to go deal with my mom in Jamaica. And I'm like, what? I said, well, we have to sort out all this stuff. You're like, here's all my stuff. Just figure it out. And you just kind of gave me everything. I was like, wow, very trusting. But it was great. It worked out really well.
Listen, so many life activities. I don't know if we're to call them emergencies. So many things have happened. Just, and this is also part of what happens. I say to my coaching clients that our life, everything that we do in our businesses is connected to our lives. Business isn't disconnected for us, especially as women. And you're right. During the time of our friendship, like my mother got, deathly ill. I had to go take care of her. Your father has been also dealing with illness. Your mother broke her elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so many life challenges. How would you say you've been able to navigate those and get into the entrepreneurial world? Because you were once the CFO of an offshore financial institution, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, close enough. Finance manager. I had so many different titles, but yeah, definitely in senior management. And it was interesting because part of the entire time was when my dad was actually diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and it was such a rapid. So many things happened so quickly within less than a year. We had to actually put him in a home. Mm-hmm. And it was a surreal moment. I remember just kind of going, you just had to deal with things as they came. And I think people kind of didn't know at first. And then when I started to share, they were like, I wouldn't have known that anything was going on with you. And they're like, how are you doing this? And I said, I'm just putting one foot in front of the next. I am a person of faith, so that certainly carried me through in a massive way. And I had support from people around, but I really had to support my family as well. It wasn't just my dad, it was supporting those around and doing my job and trying to transition out of a company into entrepreneurship. And so truthfully, a support system is really critical. I
Mhm.
had people that I could call on, you namely, and my husband, that really were my rocks in this, in terms of, oh my God, I need a moment to just breathe. I need a moment to have a cry. I need a moment to just like talk and laugh. And I just kept very focused. I kept focused on getting things in place and getting my dad taken care of, trying to deal with the emotions. I don't know. I honestly look back. Sometimes I'm like, how did I do all of that? I was meeting, I had this thing about month end and quarter end, and everything was an end, year
Yes,
end. I
yes,
went through
yes,
all of these
yes.
different ends,
Yeah.
um, focused on that, as well as facilitation of my family, as well as thinking about my future, because I knew I could not sustain and didn't want to sustain my corporate job. I was ready to
Can we
move
jump
on.
at that? Can we jump at
Yeah.
that? Like, what made you, what caused you to make the decision from being at this executive level, of a good job and a good company? What made you transition from there into entrepreneurship, considering the fact it wasn't something that was even at the fore? It wasn't at the forefront of your mind at all. You were in personal development, right?
Yeah. Truthfully, that was what it was. I just wanted to develop myself and grow and everything. I think that was also one of the main things that helped me be able to get through the tough time and the transition, because
Mm.
I was growing myself. I spent a lot of time growing me. And the thing that came out of growing me is that I also learned that I loved coaching. It just totally became a passion of mine and my absolute love. And I had considered leaving for a little bit because I was not really feeling fulfilled. I really didn't think that all of my strengths were being utilized. I always felt like there's just more in me. There has to be something more, I kept saying. And one of my driving forces was, I kind of always imagined that I don't want to get to the end of my life and make my way all up to heaven and God say, hey, you could have had that, that, and that if you had just done. And that was one of the driving forces for me to be like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and figure out I could have done all the things. Let me try. Even if I fall flat on my face, at least I've tried. At
Mm.
least I
Wow.
did something that I say, at least I did it. At least I gave it a stab at it. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, whatever, but I'm going to go for it. So for me, that was one of the big things. And I think the more I grew and developed as a person, as a coach, as I became a coach, as I started to deal with clients and stuff, it became harder for me to turn up in the corporate environment and see leadership that I just didn't resonate with, to see situations that I just couldn't step in and deal with in the manner that I knew was the best. And it became a very big struggle for me. And I
Mhm.
felt like I was two different people. When I got to the front door, I had to put on my corporate hat and go in. And trust
Mm.
me, when I left the office, I took that off and I left it right at the door, and I became my true self after. But
But
I
you know
think,
what, Rachel? I mean, I think you have described the experience that so many of us have, right? In the
mhm,
corporate space,
mhm,
that you are a person inside of the office, and when you leave, you're a totally different version of yourself, which
mhm,
can become quite emotionally stressful, right? It can become very, very overwhelming to do, especially when, because as you were talking, I was hearing alignment, that it felt as if there were some things that were out of alignment because of the personal development journey that you were on, right?
yeah,
Things just started shifting out of alignment, and you wanted to have a level of integrity with that, and therefore align with what was true to your heart. And that's how you started
mhm,
making the transition.
mhm.
But given all the challenges that you had, right? Personal challenges and challenges with work and just everything else that goes on with making a shift, why did you still pursue it?
I think for me, it was purpose. It's one of the big things that I actually teach. I teach purpose, passion, vision. I teach overcoming limited beliefs and creating an action plan, and that became my life. I did that before I taught it. I actually lived it. And so now when I teach it from a place of I've done this and I know the challenges that you face. But if you want to align and live your purpose, you do what you do. You don't necessarily think too hard. You just push through. The thing that heartened me is that before I left, and I knew that it was coming, I what drove me in the company too was to prepare my team without them technically knowing. They only knew 3 months before I left, but I was preparing them for a while, and I just loved to see them transform and become their true and best selves before I left. And I thought that was leaving a little part of me in there. So I shifted my focus. It wasn't like, oh God, another day at work. It was like, what can I do to empower these people? When I leave these people, I want them to flourish. I want them to function well. And I thought that was a lovely way to leave.
I think, yeah, it's like, it's almost like the application of one of John Maxwell's principles, which is legacy, right? In the 15 laws of growth for us as leaders, one of the things that you start doing is you stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking about the legacy that you want to leave. You start thinking about the impact that you're having on the people around you. And it sounds like that was the shift in focus for you to keep you while you decided to move into your entrepreneurial journey and the entrepreneurial world. All right. Yeah. So what exactly has happened since you've become entrepreneur? Like, how long has it been since you left and what's it been like?
So I left in October 2018. So it's been a year and a half. Oh my gosh. That has been a roller coaster in and of itself. I think if you know all the things that are going to happen before you get into something, you would never do it. And that's probably why we're protected from knowing all of these things. When I left, I had this perspective. I was like, I am going to get 2 retainers because I'm not going to dismiss my finance, and I'm going to build my coaching practice. I already had some, I'm going to build more. And I had great prospects, and I leaped. And guess what? None of the prospects came through. I had no retainers, and I was building the client base from scratch. Honestly, it's been a journey of faith, and I've just seen things unfold, but I have had to change me many, many times. I think the me that left corporate and the me that is now, I don't know how many levels have happened in between there. But you have to grow so much as an entrepreneur. There's so much that I don't think there's one person that can say, this is what happens. I also found a lot of great resources in the journey that I thought were really helpful. Like, I think one you had recommended was E-Myth.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That helped. Yeah, that really was like, oh, okay, yeah. This is starting to make sense now. But I think that that's also how it has to be. At least that's how it had to be for me, because I am a planner. So I think if you're like, oh, you have to get this and that, I would never have left.
You would never have. God. You wouldn't have. And this is, there's this thing I call it's just in time learning, right? Something that one of my mentors talks about all the time, Steve Larson. And he talks about the fact that in entrepreneurship, instead of doing what they teach you in school, which is let's give you all of this knowledge and then eventually you'll be able to apply some of it or none of it. Just in time learning for the entrepreneur is that you learn the information that you need at the time you need it. So instead of you getting so consumed with knowing everything before time, you focus on what you need right there in the space. And while you were talking, that's kind of what came to me. In our John Maxwell world, in our John Maxwell training, there was a lady, Melissa West, actually. It was Melissa West. I remember going to a training that she had done. And inside of that training, she spoke about the entrepreneurial psychology, the actual entrepreneurial mindset, that when you start as an employee, right? An employee, you have this sense of security, which is really false security, but a false sense of security that every day you're going to go to work and you're going to get a salary. And if when you move into the entrepreneurial world, you don't make that mindset shift, you'll be having the same expectations of yourself, but you'll also treat yourself better or worse than the bosses that you used to have. And so the transition of this entrepreneurial mindset, and you laugh because I'd love to hear that. Guys, if you're not watching on YouTube right now, you're not watching the video of this, yeah, you want to go check it out right at this section to see the look on Rachel's face. So yeah, the entrepreneurial mindset, it takes a while for you to get there. And if you don't make that transition and make it quickly, especially for those of us who come out of corporate and go into entrepreneurship, we are shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, and that was a big lesson for me. And I think even though it's funny because you mentioned Melissa became my coach.
Yes, yes, yes.
and
Yes.
And she was one of the pivotal ones to help me in the transition for sure. Coach needs a coach. And even though you sit down and you learn some of those lessons, I'm a very good student. I write everything down. You still have to live through it. You still have to learn through it. And I did not realize how much security I did get from my job, because when you're ready to transition, you're like, oh, free me,
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah.
And then
It's
you're
so
like,
true. It's like every day you're like, oh my God, I can't stand this job, right? Oh God, please help me to get out. And then you get out, you're like, oh my God,
oh my
what am I
God,
gonna do?
who's gonna pay me? Hello, who's gonna pay me? But I think one of the things that came to mind when you were talking about just-in-time learning is what I have learned. A couple things. I've learned a lot. One is to say yes first and then figure it out after.
That's good.
Yeah.
Say yes first and
Yeah.
figure it out
Yeah.
after.
Can you,
Okay.
you know that you're fully resourced, you know that you're fully capable. And so when you go in with that perspective, you say yes first and then you're like, oh crap, right now now I have to figure this out. It's certainly a better way than trying to figure everything out first and then go to someone. By the time you figure it out, the person has found me and I've said yes. That person has gotten the consultant that they need or the coach that they need. So to me, it's like you say yes first and then you figure it out. Unless, of course, for sure it's not in your repertoire at all. I'm not going to be offering legal services for sure.
You're not.
But it's funny. A client called me yesterday. She's like, I need you to read this contract. And I was like, yes. And then I thought, maybe I need a lawyer. but that was one of the things. And the other thing that I realized, and this was a really hard lesson because I was in a really bad place where I was like, I don't see anything coming. I had some clients, but it was, you go through these peaks and valleys. You see some stuff come in and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, I didn't study the life cycle. Oh crap, like I need to get some clients. And then you're scrambling and this pressure is on, and that pressure can just overtake you. And I remember getting to a point of, this is not good. Like, this is not a good place emotionally to be. And I had to work through a process of releasing it. Now, I don't know what that's like for, other people, but for me, I literally had to just kind of go to this place of surrender and say, I release this all. I'm taking this pressure off of me. And I just started to use a phrase of what's next. Okay, what's next? And it distanced me from rejection and what a no may mean. So instead of the no meaning, oh my God, let me go lie down for 6 hours now. And, no, okay, what's next? And then another, okay, what's next?
Because
Okay,
there's always a next, right? There's always the next step. And it's true. We have gone through these times where we said, okay, we just want to take the next step. Initially, we were saying we wanted to take the next right step, but then we changed that, because if you get hung up on what's right, what the right step is, you'll never make a step. You want to step and go to what's next. Yeah. And as you do that, the next thing will open up for you. It really is about trust, right?
Yeah. And then as you were talking, I remember this silly phrase that we came up with at the beginning of, I think that was 2019, the same year that I was now in full transition. And that was consistent intentional action. And we were so fussy when we came up with this. So Sam and I sit down every year and go through, what is the word for the year? What is the phrase for the year? And I said, Sam, I think it's consistent intentional action. And you're like, oh, brilliant. And about March, I think we were like, what have we done? What have we done? Because there's one thing when you talk about words and phrases and you speak some words over a year, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? All kinds of things start to happen to
Mm-hmm.
force you to take
Mm-hmm.
consistent,
Mm-hmm.
intentional action.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that has not ended. I still think it's very true,
Every
and
single
very
day, right?
necessary.
Every single day.
um, then Samantha compounded it with massive imperfect action, and now we have an absolutely beautiful formula to success, which is consistent intentional action plus massive imperfect action is success. Um, it comes with its own set of challenges, but I know that it's worth it. Even though we're still in the midst of it, it is worth it.
I'm just, gosh, there's so much to unpack there, Rachel. So much to unpack in what you've said. The life cycle that you shared, which is the business life cycle, while you wrote this is something that I want to pull out there. Yes, our businesses do go through life cycles, but we go through our own kind of life cycles and transitions and growth cycles as entrepreneurs. And as an entrepreneur, when you're with your business, you're going to go through an acquisition period, your client's acquisition period, which is how you get your clients. Within there's lead generation, right? There's the point where you do your own kind of attraction posts. And I know for you, one of the things that we spoke about, you're the finance person, I'm the marketing person. So I'm like, Rachel, you have to go live. You have to start going live and going live. We said 30 days straight as part of our CIA, the consistent intentional action. And you hated it. You resisted it. However, it yielded at the time one of your highest paying coaching clients because you were consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave me hanging here. It's true, right?
Yes, it is. You just invoked some painful memories here.
But what also happens inside of that after the acquisition point is that we have to go into the sales, and that's where we close them. We close the client. So they actually become our clients, and then we go through the delivery, because once you have sold, then you have to deliver. And maintaining that promise that you deliver on is what keeps those guys happy, and then you move into acquisition again. But the acquisition can get us very anxious, because when you're creating a client list from scratch, it's like, what on earth am I going to do? So, I mean, this time has been awesome, but I think that you could share with us just some of those keys for acquisition, some of those
Thanks,
keys for
Sam.
acquisition.
This is so wonderful.
Go for it. Go for it.
I think what I would say is that the initial hesitation is normal. But then you start to get comfortable, and it all depends on perspective. As I got more and more comfortable sharing, basically everything about my life, or majority of my life, I mean, nothing is really out of scope anymore.
It's called vulnerability. Okay?
Yes. But I think the willingness to go there is what makes a difference, and it really helps you to relate to people. I think the importance too is being top of mind to people, so that not everybody in your audience is necessarily needing you at the present moment, but they know who to go to when they are challenged, or when they need some solutions or answers. And I think that's really important, and that's what I learned. Thank you very much from your coaching and your pushing and prodding, but that's what it's about, because I ask my clients to do things that they are not necessarily comfortable with, but it's not about comfort, right? So I can now go live quite comfortably
and be here on this podcast with me. Rachel, this has been awesome. This really has been amazing. So you do coaching in addition to the financial consulting that you do. Where can we find you? Where can we find out more about Rachel Thomas?
So I have a website, and it's rachelthomascoach.com. And that you can get in contact with me from there, or I'm on Facebook, and I can certainly provide that link. And you can go and look at all those wonderful videos where I have shared every single thing that has happened in my life.
Well, you know what? We'll make sure that the link for your website is added to the show notes. You don't have to worry about that. Anyone who wants to find you will have the information right here in the show notes to connect with you.
And if they find you, they find me. So
there is that too. There is that. There is actually that too. Yeah, this has
I
been.
think one quick thing I would say to just for people that I think is really beneficial is when you're looking to, once you've gotten someone in front of you, and this is really for coaches or consultants, and you are looking to convert them, the focus is not on the conversion. This is one of the major lessons that I learned. It is about what does the person need and what does success look like for them. It's not about you getting a conversion. And I think that is one of the main lessons that I learned last year too, because
That's a really
we
good one.
feel so pressured. That's my last little nugget. We feel so pressured and of course we feel pressured because, hey, there's the security blanket is gone, that nobody's paying the salary. Of course you feel pressured, but don't forget the client is there and what do they need and what does success look like for them. That's how I would have, basically hired my own coaches and people around me, because I had a need. When I had a need for marketing, I was like, Samantha, Emily, get in, help me now.
Yeah. Hey, this is really uncomfortable. I really hate this, but okay, I'm going to do it. Rachel, you know what? Oh my God. This is the kind of stuff that I would have you come back for, because this is real life,
Yeah.
right? And my approach is that I want entrepreneurship and business to be practical. I want it to be something that people can connect with. And I want women to know that they're not alone in this. You don't have to be the expert. You actually just need to position yourself as the very best solution for your client where you are right now. And that is what will launch you into being the expert. We all have a message. Rachel, I just want to say how honored I am to just see the way that you have allowed your message to blossom, the way that you're serving your clients, the way you're utilizing coaching and all the finance stuff. And it's not about having, because I know sometimes when we go live or when we use our attractive character, our fear is that so many people are going to see us. The thing is, when you show up and when you shine, you help more of us to show up and shine, and therefore become the very best versions of ourselves. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for applying the stuff when it comes to marketing. And it's just so wonderful now. So if we were to make this like a results oriented program, because I know you won't blow your own horn, within the 30-day period, you signed clients, but the most important thing is that the clients that came after, because of the residual effect, because people didn't
And
know
that
where to
was
find you.
huge. The
Yeah.
residual effect was absolutely massive. It actually just took one comment. And what I had shared on that particular message was my journey. I was literally just sharing what my journey was, and someone saw it and he was totally impressed and got a massive opportunity that's coming up in a couple months.
Exactly.
So I think it's really important, and I think it's important for people to feel seen and heard, for people to really be able to identify with your story. So I think that's what I appreciate about not holding back. I think what I also appreciate in terms of what we do is to be able to speak the truth, because a lot of the times you feel so alone in the entrepreneurial journey, and thankfully we did it together. Because I don't think I honestly feel like without the support system, as I alluded to before, and our connection in terms of just like collaborating and how do we do this and what's happening here was pivotal, was beneficial, was necessary to keep moving forward, because you can get so discouraged, and I can imagine that people would get discouraged, but there's a truth out there that needs to be shared, I believe, in terms of what it's really like. But it's also the truth of you can go through and you can do it.
Yes, you can.
It's not necessarily that it's going to be the easiest thing, but knowing that is okay as well. But you can do it. I had a trainer one time, and this is maybe not the best place to end, but he'd always say, Rachel, you're going to feel like you're going to die, but you're not going to die, keep going. And, you're sweating. You feel like, yes, death is going to carry me now, but you're not going to. You're just sweating. You're building muscle. You're not going to die.
Rachel, since I know that we can talk for hours because
Yes.
that's what we do, I'm going to take this opportunity to wrap this up. Just give us the link for your website one more time.
It's Rachel Thomas, Rachel Thomas, THOMAS, coach.com.
Good. So you can find Rachel there. She's awesome. I'm not just saying that. She really is awesome. And she's going to also have some great resources for you. Rachel, thank you for joining Marketing Launch Radio. It's been my honor to host you today.
Thank you too. It's been awesome. Looking forward to coming back and talking for another few minutes.
That's her way of trying to get another one. Listen, I want to have you inside of my group, Launch Academy for Women, because this is more of this kind of conversation, more of this kind of revelation is the thing that I want more women to be talking about. Okay. Goodbye, Rachel.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for listening today. Thank you so much. If you're listening to this, then you're probably in one of two scenarios. Either you're a woman with a great talent who's ready to launch your personal brand, but isn't quite sure how to take the next step, or you're running your own business, you've got some marketing happening, ads going, and content. Maybe you've even got an agency, but things aren't clicking just right, and you're trying to tie all the pieces together. Well, if you want my help or just want to get an idea of what it's like to work with me, then just go to unlockyourbrandnow.com. I believe in simplifying marketing and making it a process that's very, very easy. But I'm also on a mission to help every woman that I can launch her personal brand or her business brand in 21 days or less. So go to unlockyourbrandnow.com and go check it out.